Whenever people picture living on an island, they almost always go straight to the dream version. Waking up to ocean views, sipping coffee right on the balcony, and walking right out to the sand. It sounds amazing, right? And don't get me wrong, it can be. But here's what nobody really tells you. That picture perfect version that you see on Instagram or magazines, it leaves out a lot of the day-to-day reality. And living on the island isn't always what it's cracked up to be. Now, this is not to scare you off, but to give you the full picture, because let's be honest, every realtor out there is going to want to paint you the perfect picture. Now, what I want to do is something a little bit different. I want to show you the good and the bad so you know exactly what you're walking into so you can make a good decision. And if you respect that, and if you like that we go out of our way to tell you the tough stuff along with the dream, then make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to work with an honest realtor, then reach out to us directly. It's just Alex and me, not some giant team, so whenever you do call, it's either going to be him or me that picks up the phone and helps you with whatever it is that you're looking for. And let's go ahead and start with something that nobody really expects, and that is rats. Now, we had an inspection on a home in the island not too long ago. It was a gorgeous place right by the water, the kind of house that most people would consider their dream. Everything looked great until the inspector went and crawled up into the attic, and there they were, rats. Now, you may think that it's just a city problem or it only happens in the older homes, but the truth is, when you're surrounded by water, you're going to have more critters. That means rats, raccoons, and all kinds of animals, and they're looking for food, they're looking for shelter, and your home might just be the perfect spot for them to set up camp. And there on the island, of course, we're not the only ones that love the water. It all likes to be shared amongst all critters. And here's something new that I learned that I didn't even realize before. They don't just rip up insulation for their nesting. They'll actually tear it up so that cool air from your home flows into the attic and they can stay comfortable up there, which I thought was pretty brilliant. And we saw that firsthand with this torn up insulation in the house. This is just something that a lot of people don't think about. It's not just gross, they can cause real damage. Now, chewing on wires, tearing up insulation, leaving droppings that are not great for your health. And if you don't catch it early, then you are looking at a big repair bill on top of the stress of dealing with it. So right out of the gate, island living brings challenges that you probably never thought about whenever you first pictured that perfect beach house. All right, now the next thing that you've got to think about are the bugs. And I don't just mean a couple mosquitoes here and there. I mean full-on swarms that can ruin your entire day. Now, every time my wife and I take a trip down to the Keys with the family, it's always the same story. And if you think about it, the Keys are basically the island version of what we have here in Vero Beach. They got the same tropical weather, it's surrounded by water, and it feels like paradise whenever you first get there. But after a few days, the no-see-ums and the mosquitoes, they just tear us up. And by the time that we head home, I'm usually covered head to toe in red sores that itch for weeks. And we're talking oatmeal baths, just trying to get some relief. And that's after only a week or so of being down there. Now, if you live there full time, that's something that you'd be dealing with constantly. And I guess there are some people who are more and less allergic to these bites than others. But for me, it is really bad. And also because I enjoy fishing, it's a lot worse there too. So if I take the kayak out on a calm morning, especially in the summer, I have to cover up completely. I'm talking face gear, long sleeves, gloves, the whole 9 yards, just to keep from being eaten alive. And it's not just the mornings either. Evenings are just as bad, and anytime that the wind dies down, they come out in full force. And here's the honest truth. I don't care if you put $10 million in my bank account. For that reason alone, because the bugs take away so much of the beauty, I would never live full time on the island. All right, now time for one of the weirdest parts about living on the island, and that has to be the crabs. They're everywhere. And I was just touring a house by the river not long ago, and right by the screen enclosure, there was a crab carcass and a big old claw. And the client took one look at it, immediately said, "Nope, I'm out. I don't want to deal with this." And honestly, I don't blame her. They don't really bother me, but for somebody who's not used to it, I guess once you see that, all you can picture is crabs crawling up into your patio every time it rains. And I can tell you from personal experience, it's not an exaggeration. I lived on a canal for a few years and the crabs would end up in the pool, on the patio, all over the place. And first it's kind of funny, but after a while you're scooping them out of the pool and it kind of gets old real fast. Now, my grandmother had her own little system. She also used to live on the canal. She used to spray Listerine across her yard and on the edges of her screened-in enclosure to try to keep them from tearing it up. And believe it or not, it actually worked pretty pretty well, and it's at least enough to slow them down a little bit and keep the numbers down. And it's just one of those quirky things that you do whenever you're dealing with island life. And then once or twice a year, it goes from being a backyard problem to a full-on invasion. And you're gonna see crabs covering A1A to the point to where you can't even drive down the road without crunching over hundreds of them. And as crazy as it sounds, they can actually be a hazard. So if you hit them the wrong way, they'll just throw their claws up. And I've heard of tires getting punctured from it, and that is pretty wild. So yeah, crabs might not be the first thing that comes to mind whenever you think about buying an island home, but I just wanted to make sure that you know that they're a real part of the experience whenever you're living there. All right, now another big reality of island living is storms. So when you're on the island, you don't just get to sit back and watch the Weather Channel whenever a hurricane is heading your way. You have to be the one that's packing up and leaving, because almost the entire island is considered a mandatory evacuation zone. And that means if a storm is coming, you're grabbing your family, you're throwing what you can in the car, and you're heading inland. And it's not just once every 10 years or so. It feels like every season you're at least going on high alert, waiting to see if that storm is going to be tracking your way. Luckily, this season's been pretty calm. But even if you've lived through a couple of those without any major damage, the stress still is going to be building up. You know, you're boarding up windows, you're hoping your house makes it. And once the storm actually hits, the island usually takes the brunt of it. So I'm talking flooding, storm surge, heavy winds, the whole deal. And the other part that not a lot of people talk about is coming back after the storm. So the bridges can be closed or jammed for hours. Power might be out for days, and you can't even get back to check in on your place right away. And even if your house is fine, it's weeks of cleanup, debris everywhere, making sure A1A is good. And it's just that constant thought of, okay, what is the next storm gonna do after dealing with all this? It's all just part of island life, but it's a lot more exhausting than people think whenever they're picturing that dream home on the water and they plan on living there year round. And next up, of course, all of that risk from the storms will show up in your insurance bill. And this is one of those things that shocks almost everyone who's thinking about buying on the island. Now, premiums aren't just a little bit higher, they could be outrageous. And I'm talking $7,000, $10,000, $15,000 a year for homeowners insurance. And that's just not some luxury policy. That's just the cost of protecting your house from the real risk of the hurricanes and the flooding. And you really can't skip it either, because one storm could wipe you out financially, and the insurance companies know the odds and they price it in. So while someone living inland might be paying just a couple $1,000s a year, I think here we're paying about $2,000, $2,500 a year, you're gonna be basically doing a used car payment every single year just for coverage. Now, it's just one of those hidden costs of island living that people don't usually factor into their budget until they're already sitting down with the insurance quote. And that's whenever reality really sets in. I just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware up front. And insurance isn't the only thing that will hit your wallet hard. Property taxes on the island are usually in a completely different league as well. So on the barrier island, it's not uncommon to see tax bills well over $15,000 a year. And that's just to start out with these single family homes. And that's on top of the insurance that we just talked about as well. So it's basically like paying a second mortgage just for the privilege of living there. And here's the kicker too. You don't really get a choice in it. Taxes are tied directly to the value of your home. And when most of the homes on the island are multi-million-dollar properties, the taxes scale right along with it. So even if you're not living on the biggest mansion of the block, just being on the island means that you're going to be paying island level taxes. And it's just another one of those things that people overlook whenever they're caught up in the dream of living by the water. So I just had to point that one out. All right, now outside of the scope of money and the money side of things, there's just the day-to-day living piece that I have to talk about. And this is where I've seen a lot of people change their minds when moving to the island in Vero Beach. Because here's the truth, most of the island is tied up with private exclusive clubs like John's Island or the Windsor Club. And you can't even see homes from A1A because they've got these walls of sea grapes and heavy foliage blocking everything off, guarded gates. And if you don't live there or have permission, then you're not going to be getting past those guarded gates. And on top of that, the only real part that's open to the public is the village shops, and then also that little strip of Ocean Drive. And that's really it. There's not much more than that other than the public beaches, but the shops and restaurants are pretty limited there. So for a lot of people, especially my clients who are relocating here, they look at that and they go, okay, do I really want to deal with all this? Because every time that you want something simple, like a Publix run, a Winn-Dixie, an Aldi, Fresh Market, market, even most of the restaurants, you've got to cross over the bridge, which means if you're further south or further north from those bridges, it turns into a serious inconvenience and a very long drive. Now, I've had clients decide against living on the island in Vero for that exact reason. They didn't want to feel locked in to like the private clubs, and they didn't want to cross the bridge every time that they just wanted to grab groceries or go out to dinner. Instead, some of them ended up moving a little bit further north and into the Melbourne area. And honestly, Melbourne's setup makes a lot more sense for people who want to live there full time. You've got Publix, Lowe's, plenty of restaurants and bars spread up and down A1A, so you're not constantly driving inland just to get to the basics. And that's the point though. It's not that island life is impossible, but for everyday living, the simple conveniences are a lot harder to come by in Vero when compared to other spots. Alrighty guys, and the last thing that I'll touch on is the upkeep, because even if you can handle the pests, the storms, and the inconveniences, the salt air is always going to be working against you on the island. Now, anything metal, I'm talking anything metal, your AC units, your patio furniture, even the hinges on your doors is going to be corroding twice as fast. Cars are going to be rusting out faster, pool equipment worn out quicker, window frames, railings, you name it, they all are going to be getting eaten alive by the salt. And it doesn't matter how nice the house is or how new it is, the ocean air doesn't care. And if you're not constantly on top of the maintenance, then you're going to be replacing things sooner than you'd ever expect. When you add this all up together, the rats, the bugs, the crabs, the hurricanes, the insurance and tax bills, and the lack of convenience, and then now the constant attack and the maintenance that you're getting from the saltwater, you start to realize that island living isn't always the fantasy that people imagine. Don't get me wrong, the beauty of living right by the water is unmatched, and waking up to a sunrise over the ocean is something very, very special, but for a lot of people, the trade-offs outweigh the dream, especially when you can live on the mainland and be 5-10 minutes away from all that, and also have the beach that feels like to yourself a lot of the times here in Vero. So that is why I wanted to make this video a little bit different. Every realtor out there will tell you how perfect island living is, but I think it's important for you to hear the other side too. And if you respect that, honestly, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you're thinking about making a move, then call us, text us, or shoot us an email. All of the information is going to be right here on the screen. It's just me and Alex, no giant team, no passing you off. So whenever you reach out, it'll be either Alex or myself on the other end of the line, and we'll help you figure out if island living is going to be the right move for you together. Thanks again, guys, for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.